Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Sports Card Advantage podcast. It is November 2nd, 2021 at 9:22 p.m. Also, my mother's birthday, but she will never ever hear this, but we'll throw her a shout out anyway. Happy birthday to my wonderful mother. And we have a fantastic show for you today. It is action-packed from top to bottom, and as always, I am joined by my co-host, Mr. Bunk. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, pal, how you doing today? Hope all's well.
Fantastic, buddy. Thank you so much for the energy and not just saying, "Oh, fine. How are you?" And we will move straight into Sports Card Advantage podcast business. Once again, every week we give away a secret card. We will do the drawing here in a second. If you'd like to enter, just send us an email, info@sportscardadvantage.com. That's info@sportscardadvantage.com. Also follow us on social media. Sports Card ADVTG. That is Sports Card ADVTG. Get us on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. And then we also have a Discord. So if you want to join us in Discord, contact us on social media or send us an email and we will send you an invite. Or you can look for our server, just search for Sports Card Advantage. With that being said, we are giving away this week's secret card. Bunk, give me a number between 1 and 10.
10.
And you're a dick once again. All right, 2. And if this would work, that'd be fantastic. That's 2, that's 3, that's 4, that's 5, that's 6. Next week, I'm going to tell you to give me a number between 1 and 5. 8, 9, and 10. Pete A. Pete A, you are the winner of this week's secret card. We will contact you to get your address, and congratulations. And then for this week's choices for secret card, we have a few to choose from. The first one is a 2020 Legacy Laviska Shenault dual patch RPA out of 50. A 2020 Panini Black Van Jefferson RPA out of 199. That gets a little interesting after D-Jax got cut, so Van Jefferson should definitely be, I guess, a little bit of a larger part of that offense. And bringing back the 2018 Trae Young Rookie Revolution card. So those are your 3 choices for this week. If you'd like to participate, send us an email, info@sportscardadvantage.com. Any other podcast business?
No, are we winning fantasy basketball?
We won last week, so week 1, 1-0. Sports Card Advantage podcast host, 1-0. We are currently winning this week. The team is looking solid, so hopefully we'll keep that winning streak alive.
Very cool. All right, what do we got?
All right, this week's main event, there was some posts that were circulating across the social media universe, basically ripping Whatnot. And for those of you that don't know, Whatnot is a app that basically breakers can go and either break cards, do repacks, do auctions. It's a platform for anybody that's pushing sports card or collectible sales to go on and sell whatever it is they're selling. And the posts that were going around were basically screenshots or videos of items that were that sold on the Whatnot platform for probably 150% or more of comps, and people are complaining that the guys on Whatnot are basically a bunch of used car salesmen that are pushing junky product to people that don't know any better, and selling it for more than comps or more than it's worth. So the question that I have for you is, A, is Whatnot good for the hobby, or is it basically a used car lot? B, is it buyer beware, and you as the buyer should be, knowledgeable on your comps, and if you're an idiot and you buy something for 150% of comp because the host is a fired up frat guy, is that the buyer's fault? How do you feel about this as far as its impact on the hobby, and is it good for the hobby or bad for the hobby?
You took the words right out of my mouth. I think it's exactly what you said. It's buyer beware. It's nobody's fault but your own if you're paying more than you should for something. No, I mean, I don't see it any other way.
So if you go to a used car lot and the used car salesman, it's like, this car is the best fucking car ever, let's go, and throws a bunch of fire emojis out there, and you're like, yes, I really want to buy this car, and you pay twice what the car is worth, and you get a shitty car, is that
It's on you.
It's on you. Okay. I mean,
Period.
so I guess
I mean, I'm not saying it's good. I mean, because what else is this going to lead to? I mean, the bottom line is we have all these new people in the hobby. A lot of people are just gaining knowledge and learning and being in the space.
Well, and that's
just want to get their hands on stuff.
So, all right, and just a quick thing, you got to get a little bit closer to the mic. Your volume's a little low.
It's like right here, guy.
Well, that's better. I mean, if you hold it right there, guy, and that's the way we got to do it. Anyway, so the hobby has to pick its image, because everybody wants the hobby to be this great community, and we're doing everything to help out our fellow hobby brother. But then you have these guys that are on Whatnot selling repacks and auctioning off junk, and clearing stuff out of their inventory for their store and whatever else, and they're taking advantage of people that don't know any better. So it's one thing if a card or two slides by and it's somebody really wants it and it's a rarer card and you're going to pay above value. But if it's some junky base card that's worth $50 and you're consistently getting $90 to $100 or $150 for some of this stuff because people just want to give you money, like at some point you have to say something. Like, if the hobby's going to be this neighborly, we're all brothers and kumbaya and all that bullshit that people like to spout out on social media, then somebody's got to help these people out from getting fucked by,
And they are, right? I mean, you saw all the screenshots. I saw numerous posts, huge threads, dozens and dozens of comments criticizing it. I mean, people are trying to push the word out there and help those out.
Yeah, I mean, it's
but is it ultimately bad for the hobby? Probably, because now you got all these people that have cards that what's their goal? I don't know. Is their goal PC? Is their goal they think they're getting a deal and they're flipping it? I mean, that's gonna end real quick when you realize you check a comp on something you bought off Whatnot and it's nowhere near what you paid. You're gonna be pretty turned off from doing it again.
Yeah, and so that begs the question, does it become Whatnot's responsibility at some point here to protect their own reputation, protect their own brand?
Listen, everyone's favorite word, regulation, right? There's no regulations in place, and I don't
Zero.
think there ever will be. I mean, how can you regulate that?
I'll debate you at some point on the regulation. I said it on
I understand
our first or second podcast going back however long. At some point the government's going to get involved. There's too much fucking money in this space that the government isn't going to step in and start enforcing lottery rules and some of this other stuff, because the wrong person's going to get fucked, who is his uncle or brother or somebody in his family is like some prominent lawmaker, and they're just going to bring the house down. Because I hate to say it, but breaks are not legal by law. Like, if you read the fine print of the law, it breaks every single fucking lottery law that there is. So at some point it's gonna happen. But I just have a problem with these guys who basically are snake oil salesmen that are pushing crap. Are there honest people on Whatnot? 100%. There are guys that are on Whatnot that are doing the right thing and selling stuff for where it should be. And one example, the guys from Sports Card Nonsense are on Whatnot like a couple times a month. And people just want to give money to the hosts because they love them and think they're so great and whatever. At some point, Mike, who's one of the hosts, was like, "Listen, guys, you guys are paying over comps, and we're not going to take the money." And like, because they were putting up some of their own stuff, or trying to get sell out boxes and do some of this other stuff to make content. And guys were paying so much over comp, and he's like, "Listen, the comp is this," and literally just giving people what the comps are, so that these idiots who just want to jump off the cliff won't just continue to run up the auction.
Yeah, I mean, and I think exactly that. How it's a problem for Whatnot is now those that are doing the right thing. If you got all these other people soured by the few bad apples, now they lose traffic across their whole platform.
Yeah, 100%.
And it hurts the guys and gals doing it right.
Yeah.
But again, if someone's willing to pay more than they should, I mean, I just don't understand what steps could Whatnot as a business can do to prevent that. I mean, that's huge respect to those guys for even saying, "Listen, we're not taking your money. This is crazy."
Yeah, and that's literally
that's awesome.
That's literally what they had to do. The first few went by, I mean, that I saw, and they pumped the brakes and were just like, "Listen, guys, you don't pay more than $100 or whatever it was," and because guys are just running it up like, "Hey, I just want to buy something from them." And that's what you get with some of these breakers that have large followings. They're just like, "Oh, I just want to hand over my money to say that I bought something from XYZ person." Right. And it's like, if that's what you really want to do for the sake of having whatever story and however important it is for you, go right ahead. But I don't know. I just think that it's Whatnot has paid a ton of money to these breakers and is paying them as influencers to bring people into the platform. And I'm sure Whatnot gets a piece of all this action. And these guys literally hawk Whatnot 24/7 on their social media channels and are breaking and doing everything else on Whatnot 6-7 days a week. So I just have a problem with the culture on some of the channels in regards to just the fact that it's not very community. If you're just gonna rip your people off, like.
No, yeah, and it doesn't help grow. It doesn't help grow the hobby or the business, because you're just you're going to end up turning way too many people off when they realize A, what they've done, and B, what they're holding and what they spent.
Yeah, absolutely.
And again, like, I think the biggest point is you're going to take, like, for example, those guys came out and said, "Hey, don't pay a comp," because they don't want to be a screenshot for thousands of people on Twitter to see that, now those guys are terrible. They're doing the same thing that everyone else is doing.
Yeah.
You're gonna hurt the brands of people who are doing it right.
Yeah, I would agree. Alrighty, so we're back from some technical difficulties. We apologize. Bunk's volume is going to be a little bit low this week. We'll work on getting it fixed for next week. We're going to slide right into the investment section for this week. We have installment 4 in Bunk's off-season guide to buying baseball. I think that's the official title. And I believe there's a bit of a surprise pick this week. What do you got, Bunk?
Well, I'm shooting from the hip because with all the rebooting and closing stuff, I have nothing open in front of me anymore. But I have for you a pitcher.
A pitcher, which
and I hate pitchers.
Yes, I was gonna say I need my get off my lawn button, but I don't have that ready. All right, and who is the pitcher that we're talking about?
We're gonna talk about the Baltimore Orioles' Grayson Rodriguez. So he's his first Bowman is in 2018. So as always, I was looking for shiny things. So I was looking at his raw refractors and a little bit at his PSA 9, PSA 10 refractors, but there's not many of them. So yeah, here's another guide to off-season buying that I do when there's not a lot of something out there. Is I automatically, it's something I want. I've been looking at it. I make it an eBay save search for auctions only, and I get an email every morning every time they go up. So, you've talked about it a lot. You'll talk about this, that, and the other thing, and then there's not a lot out there, and or you'll say if you can find one, that sort of thing. So it was mainly just a little tip on you have the ability to save those searches, any search you want with any parameter you want, and have it emailed to you when they do become available, so you don't have to sit there and search it every day. um, but he is their top pitching prospect. He's expected to make his debut next year. He strikes out the world in the minors. He's been pretty close to unhittable in the minors as you can get. He's not one of these guys that is highly touted and he's rocking a 4.5 ERA in the minors. He's sub 3 across the board since he's been 18 years old. So a lot of hype around him, and I like him as a once he comes up, quick flip.
So if you had cards of his that you're looking at, I mean, do you have anything specific, prices, things like that?
Well, again, I lost all that information, but you can get his raw first Bowman refractors right now for less than $10. So the PSA 9 and PSA 10 values right now they don't support you sending them the PSA at $150 price point.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at, if you must have something graded to flip it, then you can send to one of the lesser companies for $20-$30, and you potentially are gonna do pretty well if he comes up. But I'm looking at, me personally, because of the way I like to buy things, I'm looking at picking up a dozen of those first Bowman refractors raw.
And you're anticipating he will be in spring training next year?
So I don't know off the top of my head if he's been added to the 40-man or not, but I think he'll pitch in spring training. He probably won't break camp with the Orioles because they'll want to save the year of eligibility because they're cheap. So that he'll be a midseason call up is my anticipation.
Gotcha. Okay, so definitely plenty of time to buy, but over the next few months before he is pitching in spring training and the rumor mill starts swirling, you want to pick some of those up.
Yeah, look at it. I look at a situation like this. You have raw base refractors, raw refractors that everyone loves, the shiny refractors. They're under $10. So as prices come down on grading and his hype increases and it becomes relevant to actually submit them, you already have them in hand and not paying the hype prices raw with anticipation of the grade.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Any other additions to installment 4 of Bunk's Guide to Off-Season Baseball Buying?
No, I'm pretty upset that I've lost all my notes, but I was trying to get my voice louder, and that was priority number 1.
Yeah, well, next time, keep the napkin handy before we get on.
Yeah, I threw that out. I had it all on my screen.
All right. So the other investment that I want to talk about is Patrick Mahomes. Normally we try to focus on things that are a bit more affordable or within people's reach. But the hobby's lost its damn mind as far as, Mahomes has thrown a few interceptions and all of a sudden, that they think he's bad. And they think that, there's all these this stuff swirling that, he's not Patrick Mahomes. So, I did a little bit of research and put some numbers together. Last year, he threw for 4,800 yards. This year, he's on pace to throw for 48. Is it 48? Let me look. I have all this written down. Where did it all go?
Yeah, I know. That's my fault.
Yeah, you completely screwed me up here. All right, we're going to have to go to the internet because I wanted to actually review this because the sky is falling, but it's not. So...
Yeah, listen. While you're looking for that, being a Giant fan, I watched the entire Mahomes game last night. You'll listen to the commentators and they keep saying he's not right, he's off, he's not right, he's off. And my guess is you're about to tell us how his numbers are right on par with where they're going to be, where he's going to finish.
Yeah, I got it. So last year he threw for 4,740 yards. So far through 8 games, he's threw for 2,368 yards. Well, if you multiply 2,368 times 2, you're going to get 4,736 yards. He'll be 4 yards behind where he was last year. Last year, he threw for 38 touchdowns. through 8 games, he's thrown for 19 touchdowns. So the biggest difference, the only thing that people are getting bent out of shape about is the interceptions.
Chiefs and the Chiefs stink.
Yeah, the Chiefs. The Chiefs are off a little bit. So, 3 or 4 of the interceptions that he threw so far this year have been bounces. One hit Tyreek Hill's hand, one hit somebody's helmet. Has he thrown a couple bad picks where he's falling down, getting sacked, and just chucks it up? Yes. But I then looked at Brady's numbers, and Brady's numbers. Brady had multiple seasons where he threw 14 interceptions, and I think he's had 8 seasons. No, I'm sorry, 10 seasons where he's thrown 9 seasons where he's thrown 12 or more interceptions. So it's just like, and if you look at the early part of Brady's career, first 5 or 6 years, that's where he's thrown most of his picks. His yards weren't there. His touchdowns weren't there. Yes, they won games and Super Bowls. But, I mean, Mahomes in the first 4 years of him actually playing, he's got a Super Bowl and a season where he threw for 5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns. He's going to throw for almost 5,000 this year. So Mahomes' ability isn't in question. His prices are what's in question right now for the hobby. I mean, some of his stuff is 50% down from where it was at peaks in the last few months. So go ahead.
No, I was going to say, so in football, are we valuing wins and playoff runs more than career stats?
Apparently. I mean, what people are looking at is the Chiefs look bad, and Mahomes can't play defense. So it's just like, I mean, that's the biggest difference in why the Pats won is you had Belichick number 1, and number 2, you had a defense. And the Chiefs have never had, in the time that Mahomes has been there, they've never had a defense. So, I just think that over the course of the next 4 games, they have a very difficult schedule. They could wind up being 6-6. They could wind up being under 500. And if they don't perform as well, this stretch could be your best time to buy Mahomes cards in the next, I don't know how many years. Because at some point, this ship is going to right itself. The Chiefs will go out and find defense. They'll figure out how to get the yips together from, tipped balls leading to interceptions, and that stuff will come back together. Like, if you watch Mahomes, the ability for him to play football is still there. And, he still is going to be the best quarterback in this league as soon as Tom Brady retires. So I put some Mahomes cards together that are affordable. Like, if you have the money, Prism Silver, Optic Hollow, National Treasures, all that stuff is stuff that you should go out and buy. I mean, his 2017 Optic Hollows are down almost 50%. They sold at the high within the last 6 weeks at 4,900, and the last one sold at 3,300.
Wow.
So, these prices are definitely discounted. So if you can buy good stuff that's raw and get it graded, I'd go after it. A couple of the cards.
And his Prism 9 silvers were steadily over $2,000 for a while. And now they're steadily, approaching 1,500?
Yep. So, you're talking 30 to 50% on some of these cards. So I put together a couple cards that are attainable. So the first one, 2017 Donruss Elite Series. PSA 10 is $660, so if that's out of your price range, PSA 9 is $275. That card is hit as high as like 5 and change. You can also get raws for $200. So those would be stuff that I would look at. And then you can also look at the 2017 Donruss base, 2017 Optic base. Those PSA 9s are all, a couple $100 and, very attainable. And they've been as high as 3x where they are now. And in recent, they've been, almost double where they are now. So if you have long-term belief that Patrick Mahomes is going to become Patrick Mahomes again, as I said, over the course of the next 2 to 4 weeks would be the time that I would seriously look at buying in. See where prices go this week. They're playing the Packers. If the Packers beat the shit out of them and, they don't have another good game, I think you're going to see people just super panicked on spending the money on him and waiting until things turn around before they start buying.
And do you think those are people that were originally long-term holders that are panicking, or you think they're people that just thought they'd squeeze a little more out of it with a good season this year?
Yeah, I mean, you have everybody. Obviously Mahomes is probably, other than Brady, the most popular player in the NFL. And, people are constantly buying and selling. There's always inventory as far as stuff that's up for sale. And, people always need to move stuff for cash or flip or whatever they're doing. So there's going to be opportunities to buy, but I just think that people are scared to put the money down until they see when the free fall is going to stop. I mean, the charts on Mahomes are crazy.
Yeah, and I think he got time too. I don't think, say he goes out and throws for 405 against the Packers, I think you'll still have time. I don't think they're going to shoot right back up to those levels you just mentioned.
I don't think they'll hit their original levels, but you'll definitely see some people looking for that excuse that he's back and that they can go spend the money again. So you'll definitely get some FOMO buyers that are going to push those prices back up. He needs to string together 2 or 3 good games where he looks, where the Chiefs look good and they win by 20 and he throws the 70-yard bomb to Tariq and, the highlights are there and they're getting W's. Like, as soon as that happens, I think the prices go back to where they were. But statistically, if you look at his numbers this year, other than a couple of interceptions, he is spot on where he was last year as far as statistics go.
Yeah, I mean, how much are we valuing titles? I think that's what it comes down to. Are people worried that now the Chiefs are just going to go into a downspin and just be terrible with a great quarterback for a while?
Nope. They spent way too much damn money on Mahomes that they're not going to go out and get a defense in the offseason.
Well, that's exactly my point. Mahomes isn't going anywhere.
No.
And if they have to restructure him and backload it or do whatever they got to do to get players in there,
and he'll do it.
Make a difference.
Yeah, I mean,
they're going to do it. Yeah, so I wouldn't rule out multiple Super Bowls are still in his future with the Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean, he's a few seasons in. He's still in his mid-20s. I would say he's easily got another couple rings in him. I mean, he's not going to hit Brady rings, but if he wins 3 or 4 titles, his stuff's going to be worth it. So I have no problems, try to find a bottom over the next couple of weeks. And if you have the money and you're looking for that long-term, throw it in a drawer type of thing, I don't know if you'll ever see unless there's something that goes on with the hobby and it affects everything. But I think this is going to be your opportunity. If you've been waiting for one to get in on Mahomes, like, now is going to be the time.
In the near future, right? But let's say they don't get it together for 2 or 3 years, they don't make the playoffs for the next 2 or 3 years. Are we looking at even lower floors?
I just don't think it's going to happen.
Okay.
I mean, their offense is too talented that if they have some time in the offseason and they go out and get a defense, I mean, I think it's literally been flukes. If you look at his 10 interceptions, 4 of those are literally off somebody's helmet or off, Tariq literally let one hit him in the shoulder pad that led to an interception, and one, the Chargers, the guy made like catch of the year type of interception on a tipped ball. So, take that away. Do they have
that's
one?
What I mean. Go ahead.
If you take some of those away, do they have 1 or 2 more wins and there's 5-3 instead of 4-4 and people aren't panicking as much? Maybe. That's what I mean.
I think people see that. I think people see the play is good. He's playing well. I honestly think it's a judgment on the record and the lack of making the playoffs right now.
Yep, I would agree, and I think there's so many other cards to choose from that people are just like, fuck it, I'll just get rid of it now, and I'll get back into it at some other later point. And they're looking to dump stuff, or they're trying to flip it out so that they can go buy something else because the value's coming down. But
yeah, they're in it for lower than it is now. They're making money on it, and they know they'll buy back in.
Yeah, and I personally think, I mean, the raw Prism silvers, if you have the money, you have the 650 or 700 or $750 that they're going for right now. If you have the money and can get one of those graded that can get you a 9 or a 10, I think that is one of the better investments that you can make right now. You know, we literally have our eBay alerts set for those cards, and we'll try to scoop as many as we possibly can, because I don't think that he all of a sudden became a shitty quarterback overnight.
Yeah, I mean, again, and fast forward 10 years, that's what are we going to value? We're going to value the fact that he might throw 500 touchdowns and only have one Super Bowl, or are we going to do we need to see multiple playoff runs and huge games and multiple titles to put him in the same value category as Brady?
I think you're gonna get those. Like I think you're gonna get. He's gonna have multiple titles, and I think he's gonna make some. You know, and Chiefs will be good. It just. I don't know. I don't think you can go from worst, like from best to worst, and then all of a sudden you become a shitty franchise. Like I just don't see it happening. All right, we're not gonna spend too much time on it, but once again, keep your eyes open for Mahomes stuff over the next few weeks. They're playing the Packers, the Raiders, and two other teams that have really good record. I think the Cowboys and one other one. They
have the hardest schedule for the remainder of the calendar year.
Yeah, so they could easily wind up not being in a good spot for the rest of the season, and you know, who knows? But I know sure as shit if they squeak into the playoffs, I don't want to play them. You know,
of course not. No. And if you're getting in now, you're gonna just sit there and root for a wild card bid.
Yeah. So you never know. I mean, they could be mediocre, and then all of a sudden things could start to change. And if they step it up and play well in the playoffs, you could see a spike. You know, people are waiting, literally waiting with cash in hand as soon as they see some semblance of him. You know, the Chiefs winning once again, winning by double digits, and you know, him throwing the long touchdowns. As soon as that happens, I think you're going to see people buying back in. But all right, I got one lotto ticket for you, a little interesting. I'm going to talk a little Michael Pittman. Looking at a couple of his cards, his raw optic rated rookie auto. That is going for last sold for $70, and then his Prism Silver Raw 2020. Last one went for $15 raw. So my advice, same as Bunk's advice on whatever that guy's name was, Grayson Rodriguez.
Grayson Rodriguez.
There you go, Grayson Rodriguez. Try to find these in bulk. You know, find ones in good condition. Send them off to SGC, and if you can get good grades, you know, you should be able to increase your money on these. And you know, Pittman obviously is starting to look like one of the better wide receivers in the NFL. So if his stuff if he continues to perform on the field, his card should see a bump at some point.
Well, yeah. I mean, if Carson Wentz can get them into the playoffs, forget about it. You're sitting on one of those.
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely keep that in mind. All right. Yeah. Cool. So we have. Let's do that last. All right. So we're gonna roll into a little bit of our hot takes. Our hot take. We have one for this week. All of a sudden, you had the emergence of the backup quarterback and the FOMO / Monday morning overreaction. Mike White, Cooper Rush, Trevor Siemian, and now Taysom Hill, since he's been named the starter, since Jameis Winston has been ruled out for the rest of the season. One quick side note on Jameis, there is wide speculation that he will not be re-signed by the Saints and may find himself out of a job, or definitely out of a starting job for next year. So you may want to try to get rid of your Jameis Winston if you're sitting on it. I mean, I know a lot of people rode the wave into the beginning of this year, but if you're still sitting on your stuff and you haven't dumped it yet, there is amongst the New Orleans beat writers that Jameis will not be back in New Orleans next year, same as Taysom Hill. So I wouldn't be buying either one of these guys right now. And you might as well lump Trevor Siemian in there, who is also the backup for New Orleans. All three are huge sells to me.
So we buy an Ian Book or what?
I don't even know who that is.
pretty sure the Saints drafted him.
No idea who that is. There's speculation that the Saints are going to try to get a veteran for the rest of this year, since obviously they're in the playoff hunt. And then they'll either try to pick somebody up in free agency or through the draft. So
trade deadline is come and gone. So how are they picking up a veteran?
I think they could.
Rivers?
Yeah, they could sign Rivers, or they could sign Sham.
Oh boy, I forgot about him.
Yeah, he's still floating around out there.
All right, maybe he's doing sit-ups with T.O. in his driveway.
Yeah, that's always possible, but. Either way, it'd be mighty interesting to see Rivers come in there and try to take them to the playoffs.
Dude, I would root so hard for Phillip Rivers.
Yeah.
And the Saints at that point, because he never could get anything done in the playoffs in San Diego. Not necessarily all his fault, but some of that's team construction and whatnot. But boy, I'd be super excited to see Phillip Rivers with another team in the playoffs.
Well, I mean, how much different is Rivers than Breeze as far as he's a big, slow white guy that can throw the ball downfield and then dump to your check down? So once Michael Thomas comes back, you have Alvin Kamara. How much different was that when he had Sproles, Eckler, whatever other little running back they had in San Diego and a deep threat? So it's going to be the same type of setup. So if he can roll his ass out of bed and, find a babysitter for his 14 kids, then he can.
Is it that many? I thought it was 9.
I don't know. It's something ridiculous. He can plug and play. He can plug and play right into the Saints offense, and that would have a massive impact on his cards. I'm sure they're already starting to go up based on the rumors that he could sign there.
Well, in any event, the point of the segment, I think what you're trying to get to is, why are people spending massive amounts of money on big backup quarterback performances?
Yes, that is the point I was trying to get to. Your Mike White's,
thousands of dollar autos I saw.
Yeah, there were some autos from Mike White that went for in the hundreds. His National Treasures card his rookie patch auto went for, I think it was like $1,200. Something ridiculous. So once again, the hobby FOMO is there, and you're seeing people post stuff on social. It's like, hey, I bought this Mike White card yesterday for $25 and sold it today for $125. It's like, everybody's like, oh, you could be the next Tom Brady. It's like, no, motherfucker, he's not. Like, Mike White is not the next Tom Brady. Mike White literally played for 2 different colleges. So the first college that he went to did not work out, so he had to go to a second one. He got drafted by the Cowboys 3 years ago. He's on his at least second team from the Cowboys to the Jets. He is not all of a sudden going to be good, where he's going to be like, he had one lucky game and that's it. And I think that you will not see anything close to that now that teams have actually seen him on film, because before fucking Sunday, he hasn't been seen on film since college. And I think now the teams can prep for him a little bit. I don't think he's going to throw for 300 yards, never mind 4.
You mean there aren't leaked practice squad videos out there?
Probably not.
I'm sure there's a lot of those.
So the same situation with Cooper Rush. I mean, Cooper Rush is literally Dak Prescott's backup. That is the only thing Cooper Rush is going to be. The Cowboys signed Dak to $40 million contract, $40 million a year contract. There is no fucking way that Cooper Rush is going to overtake Dak for the starter unless Dak can no longer physically play football.
Did Cooper Rush stuff spike?
Probably. I mean,
I get it with the Jets because Zach Wilson is still unknown and didn't look good, and he's not. I get that, but Dak is Dak. Dak's there. He's the starter. I mean, why are we buying Cooper Rush?
I don't know. And Zach Wilson was the number 2, overall draft pick. He's played in 5 games, whatever it is, since he took over as a starter, and like there's no way that they're going to be all of a sudden Mike White's awesome and let's trade our number 2 overall draft pick. I mean, Zach has shown some flashes of brilliance, and so I'm not buying into this hype at all.
Trevor Siemian, you're in on Trevor Siemian. That's what you're in on.
I'm out on all of it. The fucking FOMO and the hype and the clickbait and all of that gets everybody all fired up, and then they start Googling stuff. They start looking stuff up on eBay, and like, dude, stop. Like, just do a little bit of homework on this stuff and just stop buying it. I will guarantee you, as soon as Zach Wilson is back, Mike White will not see the field again unless Zach Wilson gets hurt.
Well, what am I going to do with that $1,200 auto of Mike White I just bought?
You throw it in your fire pit where it was, where somebody else had it,
It's an expensive log.
Light it on fire, because that's what it's going to be worth. I mean,
listen, that's what this is the new era that we're in. These social media rules.
Pump
that's all
and
you
dump.
see.
I mean,
It's not even pump and dump. It's like, oh, this guy just did something good, and I need a piece of it.
Yeah.
Without any other information. The worst, and you weren't even in the hobby back then, and this is a little bit different scenario because he actually was a starter for a while and had it, put together a little career here. But when Jeremy Lin came on the scene,
Linsanity,
and Linsanity was in New York, I saw autographs going for $10,000 on eBay. I kid you not. Like thousands and thousands of dollars, not 1,200, thousands.
Well,
for Jeremy Lin
the Linsanity. I mean, look at the marketplace, though. I mean, obviously you had a global marketplace on Linsanity, Asia and the United States. People were nuts for him. So he's basically, other than Yao Ming, the only Asian basketball player that's ever done a damn thing in the league, and he did it for more than a game. Like Mike White is not going to be good past the next game. I hate to say it.
What if the Chiefs brought him in?
Yeah, guy, let him compete for Patrick Mahomes for the starter. All right, let's
searching Jeremy Lin autos. I got to know what they're closing for now.
That'd be interesting. I mean, he at least had a multiple year career where he played for a bunch of different teams.
Yeah, the answer is not a lot. Holy cow. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Jeremy Lin's still playing ball. He's in the CBA.
But I just mean that initial hype burst onto the scene. I mean,
but here's the difference. Jeremy Lin played in 480 NBA games. He averaged.
And who's going to remember him in 25 years?
He averaged 12 points, 3 rebounds, and 4 assists a game. That's, for today's NBA standards, that's not terrible.
Yeah, you would know.
I pay attention. When these guys sign these massive deals, I always look at their stats to see what they're doing.
Yeah, but I guess two guys like ourselves, when Lin came on the scene, were probably saying this guy's not going to have any kind of crazy career, or don't invest in him, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, he had 7 seasons where he was decent. Not good, not terrible, but decent.
Right. But I think he rode that hype of New York Linsanity for a while.
Yeah.
Right. Where did he go after that? The Rockets, right?
Yeah, he only played with the Knicks for 1 season. So
I don't know where else he played other than Houston, but
yeah, he played in Houston. He played for the Lakers. He played for the
Lakers?
Yeah, he played for the Lakers for 1 season. He played for the then Bobcats, now Hornets, in Charlotte, and then he played for Brooklyn for 2 seasons, or a season.
Oh, holy cow!
Yeah, he's been on 7 different teams. He started with Golden State.
You can get an auto for $50 if you want.
I'll pass, but thank you for the offer. I'll take a Mike White auto over that right now. But anyway, we are way off in freaking left field here, so let's rein this back in.
Yeah, we're all screwed up today.
Yeah.
Stupid computer stuff.
Yep. Get off my lawn stuff. Okay.
No, don't get off my lawn. You won't talk grading today, so don't get off my lawn.
Oh, I am talking grading today. I prepared Slab Wars for today.
Slab Wars. We need like a song for Slab Wars, like a little jingle.
Like a dun, 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 and then we'll get sued by Disney. All right, let's keep going. Slab Wars, for those of you that don't know and are new to the podcast, we do a comparison of one card across multiple grading companies to look at the price discrepancies for a couple of different reasons. Number one, for arbitrage opportunities, i.e., you can buy in one company and submit it to another and hope to make some money. And then also basically just to show you guys the discrepancies of the values of these cards, just because it's interesting to track to see, how things are progressing. And I mean, it looks like, especially on higher end stuff, things are moving in the direction of increase in separation. Some of the cards that we covered originally, SGC, BGS 95s, were 50 to 60% of PSA 10 values, and now we're about to see that is not the case. We've talked about, I think it was last week or the week before, we bought a 1996 Kobe Fleer metal card that was, SGC 10, that was 23% of the PSA 10 value. This week we're actually covering another Kobe card. It's a 2008 Topps Chrome. It is the one where Kobe's being guarded by LeBron. The reason why we're looking at this card, it's on our list of things that we look at that you can buy raw, and if you can get a good grade on it, it'll pay off on a 9 or a 10. So PSA 10 sold on October 31st for $2,750. An SGC 10 on October 31st sold for $936.
Oh my God.
Which is 34% of the PSA 10 value. A BGS 9.5 on October 25th sold for $12.75, which is 46% of the PSA 10 value. So it definitely seems like, especially in basketball, there is a massive divergence between SGC 10 and PSA 10 prices. Especially if you look at stuff that's beyond the last few years. So like 2018, it's going to be a little bit closer, but the older you go back, especially with basketball, there's massive discrepancies. And with a $936 purchase of an SGC 10, and you crack that and submit it to PSA, the thing that you have to be very, very aware of is if this does not come back a 10, you are upside down by a lot. So you have to just make sure that you keep that in mind when you're doing this kind of thing, is that you will be very upside down if it does not 10 from PSA. If it does,
well, look, we've looked at multiple SGC 10s, right? And there are SGC 10s where I look at it and I review it, and I'm not convinced it'll gem at PSA.
Yeah, and we don't.
So I mean, is that part of the problem? Is that part of the problem? Is SGC slapping 10s on things more than PSA does?
It might be, especially since, I mean, as we talked about, the Kobe Fleer 96, the Kobe 96 metal Fleer card had a dinged white corner. And, now we have an SGC 10 slab of something we don't think is a 10. So it's just a matter of throwing it back into the pile and, trying to get your money back out of it and putting it into something else. It wasn't able to be seen in the picture, but it was the first thing that you said as soon as you got it. As soon as you took it out of the package, it was like, dude, the corner's fucked. It was like, there's no way we can send this into PSA.
Yeah, naked eye from a distance, it looks good. The card looks sharp. Don't get me wrong. The card looks friggin' sharp. But under magnification, for sure, there's a white corner.
Yeah, so, and that's the thing that you need to keep in mind when you buy these. If you're looking to cross things over, number one, you crack and submit. You do not try to send in an SGC 10 slab to PSA and ask them to cross it over.
That's just my personal preference. I know people do that though.
Yeah, I mean,
I think there's too much, bias potentially.
Yeah, I mean, PSA 10 or PSA may feel the need to throw a 9 on it if they see any small imperfection, just because they can say that they're a harder grader or whatever it is. So it's better to just give them the impression that this is fresh. Just be careful opening your stuff. But when you get it, before you even crack it, look at it, examine it as if it was a raw card. And, if you determine that you agree with the 10 grade and that there isn't any imperfections, then crack it and send it in. I mean, on this card, if you sent it in $936 with, taxes and shipping and all that, and you can get $2,750 out of it, you can clear, over $1,000.
Right. And listen, naked eye, this card's a 10. That Kobe's a 10. The edges are great. Naked eye, the corners are great. The surface is perfect. I can't find anything wrong with the surface, and the centering is great. So if you're telling me it's 3 10s and potentially a 9 or 9.5, I don't know how the heck PSA subgrades when they're in their building there, but could it still gem? It probably could still gem. But again, to the point, if we're upside down on that on a 9, we're really upside down on it.
Yeah, and that's the thing that you have to remember is the PSA 9 is always going to sell less than the SGC 10 regardless. For the most part, I would have to say 90% of the time.
Well, on this card by a lot, but
yeah. I mean, and so not only are you going to take the loss there, but you also paid for the grading fees, the eBay fees, and everything else. So keep that in mind, that trying to submit SGC 10s to PSA for profit can be very profitable, but at the same time can be very costly. So you have to pick and choose your battles, try to find things that'll pay off. So at least if you're going to do it multiple times, if you can hit a few, you can afford to lose a few. And then we did have a request to go, to present one of these on the podcast, and then a question of how to find these opportunities. So there's a couple of things to do. Basically, just look for completed auctions on eBay of SGC 10s and look for higher end stuff, because it has to be a certain price or it's not worth it to submit it to PSA. So if you buy an SGC 10 card that's selling for $150 and the PSA 10 is selling for $250 to $300, it doesn't make sense. Like, you'll be upside down regardless. So you got to look for higher end stuff. Look for SGC 10s that are closing for, $400 or $500 and that have a PSA 10 equivalent of a minimum of, $600 higher price than that SGC 10. You can also use market movers. Once again, we are not paid by market movers. We use it ourselves. We pay for it. We have no sponsor. We have no affiliate. We have no nothing. So market movers has a part of their tool where you can do grade comparisons and look for certain players or certain sets that are PSA 10 versus SGC 10, and see where the largest ratios are and the largest price discrepancies, and then try to track down those cards in SGC 10.
And it literally spits onto the screen for you the ratio, so you can set whatever ratio you think or you need to be at in order to make some money, and you could just narrow down a list of 12 to, okay, these are the 2 I need to go after.
Yep. So, definitely a good tool. Definitely something that it's a possibility as far as making money in the hobby. Our philosophy is, we like to grade. That's how we make money. And, so that's what we do for flipping. We're not buying PSA 10s and trying to flip them. I don't know. I just don't think that it's as easy as it looks on TV. And, the prices have to go up dramatically in order for you to be able to profit, or you have to be on the show circuit, so to speak, and being able to get these in person and wheel and deal with dealers who are willing to sell below comps. Otherwise, if you're buying online, I think it's difficult to flip graded pieces and make significant money. So we're all about trying to find good quality raw and getting it graded, and buying SGC and cracking and submitting to PSA is one of the ways to do it.
Yeah, but you got to do the work. You're not just buying 10 SGC 10s and then just cracking them and sending them in without even looking at them. And hoping for the best. I mean, if you got that kind of money, good for you. Then if I had endless cash, that's what I would do. I would just buy 10s and BGS 9.5s all day long and just send them blindly to PSA.
Yes, but unfortunately, we do not have endless supplies of cash, so we do a lot of homework. We do a lot of research. I mean, Bunk and I spend easily 15, 20 hours a week between the two of us, sending cards back and forth. What do you think of this? What do you think of that? Looking at eBay alerts, diving into stuff through Card Ladder and Market Movers and trying to find opportunities. I mean, we have an ongoing list of cards that you can buy raw that you will either break even or make a little at PSA 9 and then get paid on PSA 10s. So, that's our strategy as far as what we do, and we feel that's effective.
And if you combined all those hours on cards we that we look at, including ones we've even brought in, what percent do we actually send to grading? What percent, or actually let me the bigger number, what percent do we pass on?
A lot
out of all those.
I mean,
I'd say 95%.
Yeah,
maybe, or
90
more.
to 95%. I mean, for us, it's err on the side of caution. Like, I see a lot of these guys that are doing YouTube videos, and it's like, I bought 12 cards and threw them all into BGS. I mean, that's $250 a card or $150 a card at PSA. I mean, unless you're getting them for very, very cheap raw, like way below comps. Like, if you're paying around comps through Facebook groups or Instagram or eBay or wherever, you got to be pretty spot on with your research. And there's obviously a lot of guys that are doing regular shows, but most of the people do their buying and selling on eBay. I mean, that's one of the reasons why it's the largest marketplace, because that's where a lot of people buy and sell.
It's most eyeballs, period. I mean, I hate the fees, but it's where the most stuff sells the quickest.
Yep. So you gotta work the system and the situation that you're in. I don't have the opportunity to be on the road freaking every weekend at different shows, and neither do you. So that we work within our own limitations. All right, we have rambled on long enough. I was very excited at the top of this podcast, and then technical difficulties
buzzkill
have buzzkilled it. That is for damn sure. Once again, we apologize for the audio volumes. We'll have it fixed for next week. If you want to send in any questions, send it info@sportscardadvantage.com. Follow us on social, sportscardadvtg. I should have teased this at the beginning, but I'm going to do it now. We do have a guest for next week as of now. I'm going to confirm with him sometime in the next few days. And once I get a final confirmation from him, we will tease it out on Discord, on social, on social media for everybody, so that you guys can send us your questions. I think it will be somebody you'll be interested in hearing, somebody that can provide some insights on grading and how to use certain reports to find some good deals. And on that note, Bunk, you got anything else?
No, we should probably wrap this one up.
Yeah, let's shoot this horse and bury it and call it a day.
We got a lot of editing to do.
Yeah, I got a lot of editing to do. That is it for episode 32. Thank you all for listening. We will see you next week.